West 9th Street in Little Rock, Arkansas was once a thriving hub of African American business, culture, and community life. Spanning the early 20th century until its decline in mid-century due to urban renewal projects and systemic changes, the street symbolizes both the resilience and the challenges faced by the Black community in Little Rock. West 9th Street was often referred to as the Black Main Street of Little Rock because of its concentration of Black-owned enterprises. These included restaurants, grocery stores and retail shops, professional services such as law firms, medical offices, and pharmacies, and entertainment venues like theaters and clubs. The street was a testament to Black entrepreneurship, with residents creating a vibrant economy to support their community despite the barriers imposed by segregation. Today, we will be exploring two of these locations and their relation to Black business and culture in Little Rock. These include the Mosaic Templars of American headquarters and Taborian Hall, which housed the famous Dreamland Ballroom on its third floor. The Mosaic Templars of America, an African American fraternal organization offering mutual aid to Black community, was founded in Little Rock in 1882 by two former slaves, John Edward Bush and Chester W. Keats. Taking its name from the biblical character of Moses, the organization offered illness, death, and burial insurance to African Americans at a time when white insurers refused to treat Black customers equally. The name metaphorically linked the organization's services to African Americans and the oppressive conditions of the Jim Crow South to Moses' leadership during the Israelites' exodus from slavery in Egypt and into the Promised Land. At its peak in the 1920s, the organization had an estimated membership of over 100,000 members and had chapters in 26 states, the Caribbean and South and Central America. Headquartered in Little Rock throughout its existence, the MTA exemplified a successful Black-owned business enterprise. It expanded its holdings to include the Mosaic National Building and Loan Association, the Mosaic State Hospital, and the Mosaic Guide newspaper. The founding of the MTA in the late 19th century was part of a larger fraternal movement in which thousands of men and women joined organizations that offered insurance benefits and camaraderie. However, since white American fraternal organizations refused to issue charters to Black groups, African American branches were forced to obtain a charter from an organization's European counterpart or create their own organizations. The MTA is an example of the latter, an independent African American fraternal organization without a white parallel. In 1911, the MTA purchased land at the corner of West 9th Street and Broadway Streets, the head of a thriving Black business district for its national headquarters, the National Grand Temple. On May 18, 1913, the building's cornerstone was dedicated, and the building was completed by October 15, 1913. On that day, Booker T delivered the dedication speech to a crowd of 2,100 Black and white citizens in the third-floor auditorium. Taborian Hall in Little Rock, Arkansas is a historically significant building deeply connected to the Black community's economic, social, and cultural life in the city. Built in 1916, it is located in the heart of Little Rock's 9th District, which was a vibrant center of African American business and culture during the early to mid-20th century. The hall was constructed by the Knights and Daughters of Tabor, a Black fraternal organization. It served as a meeting hall for the group and a multi-purpose facility for the Black community. It was designed to host various activities, including social events, entertainment, and business gatherings. Its construction symbolized Black self-determination and economic empowerment during a time of segregation and systematic discrimination. Throughout the 1920s and 30s, Taborian Hall housed many Black-owned businesses, including offices for dentist Dr. J.V. Jordan and physician Dr. W.B. Black, as well as housing the Gem Pharmacy, the Ritz Beer Garden, Ben's Camera Club, and the Dreamland Grill. By the mid-1930s, the Dreamland Ballroom had opened on the third floor of Taborian Hall, becoming a well-respected and busy venue. Primarily known as a dance hall, the Dreamland Ballroom also held dances, social gatherings, and basketball games. During World War II, the United Service Organization purchased the building and used its 3 floors as a club for African American soldiers stationed at Camp Robinson and the Stuttgart Army Airfield. The Dreamland Ballroom, housed on the third floor of Taborian Hall, is a historical and cultural landmark that played a significant role in the social and cultural life of Little Rock's African American community. Its legacy is deeply intertwined with the history of black business and culture in the city. Starting in the 1930s, the ballroom became a prominent location on the Chitlin Circuit, a network of locations and venues which welcomed black performers in the South during segregation. Many well-known African American artists performed at the Dreamland Ballroom and the two nightclubs, Twin City Club and the Waiter Club, which opened on the lower floors of Taborian Hall. Some of the notable artists which performed there include Duke Ellington, Fats Waller, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, B.B. King, Ella Fitzgerald, Sammy Davis Jr., Count Basie, Ray Charles, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Dizzy Gillespie, Cab Calloway, Nat King Cole, Louis Armstrong, and a host of others. While the Mosaic Templars headquarters and Taborian Hall were the two most prominent locations of Little Rock's historical West 9th Street district, they were not the only features. The district also included many other locations which served as a hub for black business and culture, including the Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church, Dunbar High School, the Children's Drugstore and Hotel Tucker, the Phyllis Wheatley YWCA, the Great Southern Fraternal Hospital, the United Friends Hospital, and a host of others.
Now introducing special guest, Kyle Wright. Hey, Dr. Foster. Interstate 630 is an 8-mile-long east-west expressway running through the center of Little Rock, connecting Interstates 30 to the east and 430 to the west. It was constructed during a 2-decade period beginning in the 1960s and is blamed for significant social alterations in the state's capital city. The interstate originated with Little Rock city planner John Knowles' work in the 1930s, envisioning a cross-city expressway in Arkansas's largest city. As the city's population began moving to the west in the 1950s, a product redlining, white flight, and desegregation of Central High School, interest grew in the highway that would provide easy access between the jobs and shopping base downtown and the houses to the city's west. In 1958, MetroPlan released a tentative plan that included what was identified as the 8th Street Expressway. Soon thereafter, a bond program was passed by the city's voters to aid in the construction of the expressway, and the Arkansas Department of Transportation brought the highway still in the planning stages into the state highway system. While the map for the expressway showed the key landmarks in the city being saved from demolition, the African Americans business district centered around the West 9th Street and the many homes of many low-income residents, mostly black, were in the path of the new highway. In 1964, construction of the middle segment of the project, west of the 9th Street area, began at a slow pace. A 1-mile segment between Park and Cedar Street opened to traffic in April of 1969. This short stretch was dubbed the world's shortest expressway. However, a fundamental problem with the completion of this road project was the lack of funding. Gaining access to the federal highway program was essential because the program brought with it a 90-10 match, i.e., for every one of state and local spending, $9 would come from Washington, D.C. The project's inclusion in this program was initially denied by the Federal Highway Agency. In 1970, Congress, Wilbur D. Mills, chair of the Powerful Ways and Means Committee, became engaged in the project. Within months, the Federal Highway Agency changed course, and the project was brought into the federal system. With completion of the project on the horizon, Arkansas Community Organizations for Reform, now ACORN, an advocacy group for low and moderate income families and communities founded in 1970, became active in the issue. ACORN opposed completion of the eastern segment because of its impact on the low-income, heavily minority neighborhoods in this section of the interstate's footprint, as well as the African Americans business district. These issues never gained legal traction in the lawsuits filed by ACORN, but the organization gained a big victory in a 1975 ruling by Federal District Judge J. Smith Henley, finding that the environmental impact statement filed by the State Highway Department with the federal government was inadequate. Affirmed by the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals in 1976, the ruling led to a new environmental impact study that was approved by federal judge G. Thomas Easley in 1979, allowing the project to proceed. The eastern segment of the highway, the final piece, was open to traffic on September 29, 1985. In addition to the clear impact in displacing large portions of Little Rock's established African American community, the interstate has been criticized for its role in creating a racial and economic divided city and encouraging sprawl to the west. The population north of the interstate is heavily white, relatively affluent, and well educated, while census data shows the population to the south of the highway to be heavily African American and challenged on key socioeconomic indicators. The vast majority of Little Rock's Latino community also resides south of I-630. Analysts of the city's demographics have argued that Interstate 630 serves as a potent physical and psychological divider in the social fabric of the state's largest city.
Wilbur D. Mills was an American Democratic politician who represented Arkansas's 2nd Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives from 1939 until his retirement in 1977. As chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee from 1958 to 1974, he was often called the most powerful man in Washington. Mills is known for his role as architect for Medicare, interstate highways, Social Security, tax reform, and many other policies. He was also the longest continuously serving chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, becoming a member of the committee in 1942, chairman in 1958, and stepping down in 1974, and retiring from the committee and Congress in 1977. When anyone in Washington, D.C. spoke of Mr. Chairman, everyone understood that they were talking about Mills. Mills is also a signatory to the 1956 Southern Manifesto opposing the desegregation of public schools ordered by the Supreme Court in Brown v. Board. However, Mills was never a segregationalist personally. He was always a strong advocate for inclusion. His longest and closest aide was Walter Little, a black man from North Carolina. Mills told House Speaker Sam Rayburn that he was not going to sign the manifesto, to which Rayburn responded by advising him that he would be defeated for re-election if he did not sign, so Mills ultimately did. In 1970, when Mills became engaged with the construction of Interstate 630, the Federal Highway Agency changed course and the project was brought into the federal system. In the early 1930s, the Mosaic Templars of America began to feel the effects of the Great Depression, and like many other fraternal insurance providers, it eventually ceased operations. After the demise of the MTA, its former headquarters was occupied by a moving and transfer company, an auto supply store, and an auto upholstery shop, and it sometimes sat vacant. The annex burned in 1984, while the State Temple remains standing and occupied by a medical firm. In 1992, in response to a fast food restaurant's interest in raising the National Grand Temple, a grassroots advocacy group formed to save the building. The Society for the Preservation of the Mosaic Templars of America building saved the building from demolition in 1996. The city of Little Rock purchased the building to preserve it, and in 2003, the city turned the building over to the Department of Arkansas Heritage, which was overseeing an $8.6 million renovation in preparation to open the building in late 2006 as the Mosaic Templars Cultural Center, the fourth museum of the Department of Arkansas Heritage. An early morning fire on March 16, 2005 destroyed the Mosaic Templars National Grand Temple in downtown Little Rock. The Department of Arkansas Heritage and the Mosaic Templars Cultural Center vowed to build a new structure on the historic site. A new $7 million cultural center was planned to reflect the architect of the original headquarters and the annex. The center, which opened on September 20, 2008, presents exhibits interpreting African American history from 1870 to the present. The third-floor auditorium resembles the original auditorium, including a horseshoe-shaped balcony and a stage with a proscenium opening. By 1970, Taborian Hall had lost its grandeur. As black clubs and businesses began to move away from the line on West 9th Street or closed due to urban renewal programs and a greater acceptance of black owned businesses in other parts of the city. In 1982, Taborian Hall was placed on the National Registry for Historic Places. In 1991, Arkansas Flag and Banner purchased the building, saving it from destruction. Though the building was in disrepair, Carrie McCoy, owner of Arkansas Flag and Banner, was in love with the building's potential. At the time, she was unaware of the building's history as a prominent landmark in Little Rock's African American history. When she found out about its history, she felt the need to restore the building to preserve its heritage. In the decades since, Arkansas Flag and Banner has made the lower floors of Taborian Hall their home, while restoring the Dreamland Ballroom on the third floor to its former glory. In March 2018, it was announced that the U.S. Department of Interior and National Park Services, or NPS, planned to award nearly $500,000 on an improvement grant for the ballroom's restoration. In April 2020, the restoration project received another $499,000 from the NPS. The following July, it was announced that the nonprofit organization Friends of Dreamland would receive $498,000 for restoration and rehabilitation from the NPS. While the restoration of Little Rock's historic West 9th Street hasn't completely finished, some right steps have been made. The Mosaic Templars headquarters is now a cultural museum of African American heritage, and Taborian Hall has been renovated to return the building and the Dreamland Ballroom to its former glory. Interstate 630 is here to stay, but that shouldn't stop progress from being made. Cultural and racial divides continue to persist in Little Rock, largely due to the city's and state's past controversies. It is for reasons like this that it is crucial to support local businesses, including black-owned businesses, and to check the power of government entities which go against the wishes of locals.